Good morning, Windsor Park. Welcome to our August WPNA meeting. Happy Saturday. Thank you to all of our sponsors, our donors, members, and our newsletter deliverers. We wouldn't be where we are without you, so thank you for all of your time and dedication. I also want to say thank you to some of our other behind the scenes volunteers who helped put this live stream on. I wanted to give a heads up. Unfortunately, it's very possible that we won't have our live stream up on our website today. We have some amazingly generous volunteers, but sometimes life happens and things don't quite work out as we planned. So just want to let you know that that might not happen today, but accessibility is really important to us and inclusion, and we want to make our meetings as available as possible. So know that that's a priority for us, and we're working on some backup plans to hopefully give us some other options when things come up. So yeah, so welcome again, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'll do a quick walkthrough of our agenda. We'll have our yard of the month, our treasurer's report, as well as our 2019-2020 financial audit report. We'll have our guest speakers today. We're going to introduce a judicial candidate. Craig Moore wanted to introduce himself and say hello. We'll also have the Austin Fire Department talking about programs and fire prevention. We'll have a schools committee conversation with Jen Krieger and Emily Sawyer to talk about equitable PTA funding, followed by a Windsor Village Shopping Center redevelopment update with Rodney Ahart. We'll have also a follow-up on the Living Streets. That is a presentation that we had last month, and some folks proposed a resolution for support. So we'll have a vote on that, and then we'll have our committee reports after that. So without further ado, let's get started, and we'll pull Sarah Jane Lee up to do our Yard of the Month.
Okay, our yard of the month is at 5308 Waterbrook Drive, and the winners are Margarito Morales and Brian Grothness. And I should have asked Brian how to pronounce his last name. I'm guessing at that. But they have many of their things in their yard are small trees. They have a blue Palos Verde, a fig, a peach, and a mountain laurel. And they thought that the Palos Verde and the fig were goners last February, but both have come back. They also have a Pride of Barbados bush. But at the front, they have a succulent garden, and it's actually carpeted with silver ponyfoot. Then they have Mexican feathergrass and purple fountain grass. And near the house, they have elephant ear and some varieties of caladium. They have sweet potato vines and helicopter plant. Most of these are actually fairly dry. Well, not dry, are okay in a dry climate, though they do have to water their, their elephant ears. It's one of those things, well, you really want this, but you also like that plant. And they're the only people I've known who get many of their ideas from Pinterest. A lot of others may have done so and not told me. But anyway, they are also, many of their plants are native plants. And Margarito and Brian will receive a $50 gift certificate. I'm not able to talk today. A gift certificate from Shoal Creek Nursery. And Shoal Creek Nursery is fully in business, and they have many plants and pots and much in the way of yard art and such. They are well worth your visit. And please, if you know of any plantscapes that you want to nominate, please do it. We are happy to get all sorts of nominations.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
You're
I'm glad the peach tree survived. I've always wanted a peach tree, and I think it's so cool that some of these, especially fruit trees, it seems like they're just, coming alive again, and it's very encouraging. So
I know when I saw the fig tree, I thought, I think this is coming out after the storm.
Yeah.
And I was right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. All right. Moving on to our next agenda item, we have our treasurer's report with our treasurer, Josh Pitts. And Josh is also going to walk through the financial audit report as well. Josh, not sure if you're talking, but you are currently on mute.
Sorry, every day's a new day, y'all. I'm sharing the wrong screen, right? You seeing the audit?
Yeah, we see the audit. Yeah, you're good.
I wanted to share the treasurer's. Anyway, we'll start with the audit and then I'll go to the treasurer's report. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. So the audit was held July 24th. Thanks to Cheryl Cheatham, Alana Carpenter, and Cam Rousset. Hope I'm saying that right, Cam. They were a big help, and they performed the audit at my house on that Saturday. We spent 3.5 hours going over the books from both 28, anyway, a couple of years. We did a couple of years worth of audits because we'd fallen behind with some treasurer issues. And so did a couple of years worth of audits. Everything came out pretty well. If you can see this, let me pop this up a little bit. Biggest thing, let's see, recommendations. I need to destroy some checks that were some of those beginner checks. I've destroyed those. I need to make sure that I'm adding receipts for the PayPal transfers. I typically just transfer those from PayPal straight into the bank and just leave it at that. So I'm going to print out a transfer thing just so we've got a paper copy of that, or not a paper copy, but just a digital copy of that they can look at and just confirm this was transferred and this is how much should have been transferred. Cash, we had a lot of cash from that bake sale, and I should have, I guess, gotten a written receipt from Melanie, who held the bake sale. Thanks, Melanie, if you're out there again for the scholarships. Anyway, I'll probably order some new checks as well. We're all out of whack with check numbering and everything, and so we may just start with a new set of checks at a higher number, and so it's just easy to keep track of everything because we're all over the place right now. Of course, since I've taken over, we've stayed steady with one checkbook. Anywho's, audit's good. I passed with some colors, not necessarily flying.
I'd say flying colors, Josh. You've done awesome. Thank you all for taking that time. And to be clear, y'all did a great job of connecting since we were behind for a couple of years with this darn pandemic. That was a lot of work to do. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to share the why is this so hard for me today? Sorry, everybody. I'm trying to share the treasurer's report for this month. Nothing too exciting to witness, of course, but I did have a little printout for it. What do y'all see now? It's such a disaster. Sorry, everybody. You see the treasurer's report?
Yeah, you're good. We actually see your whole screen. So if you want to just full screen your treasurer's report, perfect. Then you're good.
There we go. Treasurer's report, you can see I've got the current month, previous month. We're dropping in balance quite a bit because we've got $15,000 worth of scholarship checks to write, which is a good thing. And so we got plenty of money to cover that, of course. And so everything's going well. Yeah, some PayPal. We had a couple of sponsors, newsletter sponsors. Thanks to those folks. So we got some money in the PayPal account, which I'll transfer, of course, and print a receipt. That's about it. We're getting awfully painfully close to the membership goal. 194 in actual paid memberships, and due to family memberships and everything, we've got 330 current members. I think that's about it. Anything I missed, Jackie, or anyone? Any questions? Feel free to hit us up on the Facebook page if you do have a question. I'll respond there.
Sounds good. Thank you,
Man, how
Josh.
can I every once a month, 4 weeks? Is it that long? And I just every damn time it's something new, man. Anywho,
Hey,
I'm
that's what digital's all about. I mean, it just happens. No, thank you so much, Josh. And man, six more memberships. We're almost there. That would be amazing. So if you aren't a member yet, I know we're about halfway through the year here, but your membership is really helpful for us. And there's so many reasons why to be a member. So please join us. All right, so moving on next, we're in our announcements. So Josh, thank you for walking through the 2019-2020 financial audit report. Obviously, our nominations committee and our audit committee were approved from our vote from last month. So they're already hard at work. And the audit committee obviously already completed their audit report. So we also have Craig Moore. Craig Moore is a judicial candidate who reached out to us and wanted to say hello and do a quick intro and tell a little bit more about the office he's running for. So Craig, take it away.
Great, thanks Jackie, and good morning, Windsor Park Neighborhood Association. It's so good to be here with you this morning. My name is Craig Moore. I've lived here in Austin for over 20 years, and I'm a criminal lawyer. I'm also a candidate for the 403rd District Court, and so I appreciate you all giving me an opportunity to introduce myself and talk a little bit about the court that I'm running for. Just as an aside, I am the past president of the Schofield Ridge Neighborhood Association, so I completely understand the very important work that you all are doing. And so again, thank you for making this space for me. The 403rd District Court, this is a criminal district court which hears only felony cases. I've been practicing law for over 17 years, and 13 of those years I've been practicing criminal law. And so this particular court hears exactly the type of cases that I've been handling and trying for the past 13 years. It's a district court, and that's just a state designation. It's not like a district like Vicki Goodwin's district where you have to live in her district in order to vote, or Greg Kassar's district where you have to live in his district to vote. This is just a designation from the state. But if you live in Travis County, you will be able to vote in this particular race for any district court race or county court race. But again, I'm running for the 403rd District Court, felony criminal district court here in Travis County. Just a little bit more about myself. I am from rural East Texas, a little town called Marshall, Texas. I moved to Austin to attend the University of Texas, where I received my law degree and my master's degree. I worked in several law firms, several civil law firms, and then I've spent the great majority of my career as a criminal lawyer working at both the Travis County Attorney's Office and the Travis County District Attorney's Office. One thing that I'm very proud of, or several things that I'm very proud of, is my work in diversion programs. I am the former lead prosecutor for the mental health diversion program, as well as the felony DWI diversion program. I'm also one of the founding board members of the Austin Travis County Sobering Center. So I am a strong proponent of expanding our diversion programs here in Travis County. It's certainly one thing that I want to do as a judge. I also want to make sure that every single person that comes into the courtroom is treated fairly and treated with respect. It doesn't matter if you are one of our unsheltered brothers and sisters living on the streets trying to make ends meet, or if you are an individual of high net worth living in West Austin. It does not matter. If you come into that courtroom, you deserve to be treated fairly equally under the law and with respect. And that's definitely one thing that I intend to do as a judge. I also want to make sure the rights of the accused are protected. You know, a lot of times when people come to court and they're charged with a crime, you know, they don't know if their defense attorney is going to really advocate for them. They think the prosecutor is out to get them, but they really want to make sure they have a fair shake from the person who's sitting on the bench wearing a robe. And that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that every single person that comes into the courtroom has a fair shake. I'm very active here in the community. I've served on the board of directors for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Texas, active in our local Democratic Party. You know, judicial races are partisan races, and so I will be running in the Democratic primary. Typically, it happens in March, but we're hearing that the primaries are going to get pushed back, but it will be an election next year in 2022, a primary election and then a general election. And so again, if you live in Travis County, you will be able to vote. It's a county-wide seat. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to visit with you all this morning. I have a website, which is www.craigforjudge.com. You can go on the website and learn more about my background, my qualifications, my community service, and more reasons of why I want to serve in this role. I think it's very, very important that we continue to have a local judiciary that represents the community that it serves. And so, Jackie, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I will look forward to speaking to the group again at some date in the future. But feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is there on my website, www.craigforjudge.com. Thank you. Oh, and sorry for the background. I'm in my boys' room and they have piano practice this morning. This is like the quietest part in the house, so forgive the
I
background.
love it. I was going to point out, I'm like, what's your artwork here? Thank you so much for reaching out and for joining us. And we look forward to hearing more.
Thank you. Y'all have a good morning.
Yeah, have a great rest of your weekend. All right. So moving on, we have another special guest for you today. We have Teresa Cifuentes from our Austin Fire Department, and she's going to talk about some of the programs and fire prevention. So Teresa, take it away. Oh, Teresa, I think you're on mute.
There you go. Now?
Yes, you're good now. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good morning. I just, first of all, want to introduce myself. As Jackie mentioned, I work for the Austin Fire Department. I am the program manager for the Community Outreach Division. And so a couple of things that I want to talk about this morning is the programs that we administer through the Outreach Department, and then anything on fire safety that people have questions on, I'll be more than glad to answer. So first of all, the several programs that we have under the Community Outreach Division, and the first program that I'm going to talk about is the free smoke alarm program. And with that program, what we do is we offer free smoke alarms for residents of the city of Austin. And these are homeowners that live within the city. If you don't have any working smoke alarms, or if you have some, and if they're probably older than 8 years, they probably need to be replaced. Or a lot of times your smoke alarm starts chirping. You don't know what's wrong with it. You've replaced the batteries. Excuse me. And hold on a second. I'm sorry about that. So what we do is we can come out and look at your smoke alarms, and if need be, we can replace them. Couple of things that sorry about that. So a couple of things that people need to know about smoke alarms is that, first of all, we always let residents know that they need to check their smoke alarms at least monthly, if not every 6 months. And with that, typically in order to remember to change those or test the smoke alarms is to test the little button that's on the smoke alarm. So if you see the little test button, you push on it, it starts chirping, it's good. If it does not, that probably requires you to change the battery. If you want us to come out and check your smoke alarms to ensure that they're working, we can do that as well. Now, with the free smoke alarm program, if you need new smoke alarms, we can come out and install them. And the ones that we are using now are the latest ones that have a 10-year life expectancy. And what that means is that the smoke alarms should last up to 10 years. And you don't even have to replace the battery on them. You do still have to test them. However, you don't have to replace them. A lot of times they do start chirping before the 10 years. And if that happens, you can call us and we can come out and replace them again. Again, keep in mind, this is at no cost to the resident as long as you live within the city of Austin. Another thing that we have is we do offer smoke alarms for the hearing impaired. So if you have someone in the home, or if you know of someone that lives within the city of Austin that would benefit from having a hearing impaired smoke alarm, we can come out and replace those or place them, or if they have existing ones, replace them. And again, these are at no cost. This is a great program. I encourage people to give us a call and let us know whether you'd like for us to come and check your smoke alarms or come and replace your existing ones. One thing that we do not do is if you have smoke alarms that are hardwired, we do not replace hardwired smoke alarms. If those are going out, you probably need to check with an electrician. However, if in the interim you're trying to get the hardwired smoke alarms looked at by an electrician, if you want for us to come out and just place one of the battery operated ones, we'll be more than glad to do that. But I do encourage people to take advantage of that. These smoke alarms are free. And of course, when I say free, to the residents, and they're paid for by tax dollars. Any questions on those? No? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Can one call 311? You may. I can give you our. We have a hotline, smoke alarm hotline. That number is 512-974-0299. If you leave us your information, we can we'll call you back and arrange to have someone come out to your home and look at your smoke alarms and replace them if need be. These smoke alarms are looked at, installed by actual firefighters. And typically it's the closest fire station to your home that'll come out. Another program that we have is the public education program. And what that is, and I'm sure Windsor Park has probably taken advantage of it, as we can send out a fire truck to any event that you have. So if you're having the National Night Out, or you're having a parade, you can request to have a smoke alarm come out. And I'm sorry, it's not a smoke alarm. A fire truck come out and attend your event. The only requirement there is that you give us at least a 2-week notice before the actual event. And this is something that is really nice, especially for the kids, because they love to come out and climb the fire truck and tour it. And one thing that I do have to point out is because of COVID, there is a moratorium on actually having or sending a fire truck out so that people can tour it. However, if you're having an event or a school event, right now we are allowing the fire trucks to do a drive-by and just wave to the kids. But other than that, until the COVID, until we go back to maybe a stage 3, we're not actually having the firefighters interact with the general public. So I see the shadow, Okay. Okay, so let me answer the question from Jackie or from Mary. Why are smoke alarms go off at Gaston Apartments? Can you turn it off? So that's a great question. When I talk about smoke alarms, I said if you're a homeowner, you live in a home, we can come out and install the free smoke alarms. However, at apartments, we do not come out and install those smoke alarms only because the management is responsible to ensure that those smoke alarms are working, and that is part of code compliance for the apartment complex. So if you do live in an apartment and you have a smoke alarm that's chirping, you're in need of a smoke alarm, you need to contact management. If you've done that and management has not come out and either replaced your smoke alarm or stopped chirping, you can call us and we will send out a firefighter. But at the same time, we're also going to send code out to talk to the apartment complex, to management, because they are responsible for ensuring that their residents are safe. And that includes making sure that the smoke alarms are working. Did that answer your question? Apartments? Okay. So on Pub Ed, what we also have is, again, once this moratorium is over, we have several training props, fire safety training props that we can come out and demonstrate. One of the nice ones is we have a huge fire safety trailer that actually has a kitchen and a kid's bedroom. And we usually send those out if there's going to be over 50 people in attendance at an event. It's super cool because kids and adults get to learn it's a hands-on, how to properly use a fire extinguisher, how to properly create a fire escape plan. It's a really cool trailer, and it's about as long as a fire truck. So whenever people request this fire safety trailer, we need to make sure that there is going to be space to park the trailer. Another item that we have is a fire extinguisher prop. And what that is, it's about a 24-inch screen that simulates fire. And then we also have a laser point fire extinguisher. So people get, again, to use it hands-on, and you aim at the fire, and you learn how to properly use that fire extinguisher and put out the fire that's simulated on the screen. So those are all pretty cool. Yes, Josh, 50 people, kids included, yes. So again, this is all events that are free to the public. And again, that phone number that I gave a while ago, you can call us and request events there too. And then one of the other programs, that's a fairly new program, and it was one of the programs that was brought up during council about a week ago, and it's called the Red Angels program. And what that is that our department has partnered with the Austin Community College, Concordia University, and Austin Public Health Nurses Division. And what we do is we partner with registered nurses, and we can come out to your home. And if you need a basic well check, what that means is we can come out and check your blood pressure, your glucose, your pulse, your temperature, and do a very basic well check in your home. And those are conducted by registered nurses. And then they're accompanied by a firefighter, which will do a fire hazard assessment in your home. This has been a really good program. We did start out in communities such as Dove Springs, Colony Park, Del Valley, and sometimes you have a lot of older people that don't have the resources, the transportation to get to a clinic or to their doctor just to have their vitals checked. They can call us and we can come out and do that. And A lot of people have taken advantage of that. It's a great program, and this we're going to start talking about that to try and make it bigger. So if you know of anyone that needs a basic will check, a lot of times we have our elderly parents that can't get out. We can come out and do those vitals for them. And in one particular case, when we went out, a gentleman out at Del Valley, the nurses were checking the medication that he was taking, and he was taking all the wrong medication, old medication, and then they took his blood pressure and it was off the charts. So we did ask him that if he had someone that he probably needed to go see a doctor, go to a clinic or a hospital immediately. And when that happens, we do offer that if they don't have anyone to take them to the hospital right then and there, that we can call EMS for them. So it is a great program. People have taken advantage of it, and we're going to be expanding that within the next six months. And then one of the last things I want to talk about is that starting on August the 27th, the last Friday of this month, we're going to start, our AFD is going to start, we'll kick off our AFD podcast. The podcast name is AFD Rocks. The ROCK is an acronym for Reaching Our Communities. And on August the 27th will be the kickoff. We'll have Fire Chief Baker kick it off and talk to on the podcast. I believe we're going to be taking questions as well. So I'd be more than glad to share that information. And that would be good information also to put on your newsletter that starting on August the 27th, we will be having the podcast, and I believe we're going to be having them monthly after that. That is all I have. Any questions?
That's great. I do have a question about that podcast you just mentioned. What's the best place for folks to find a link to that, or where might we find it?
So we're still working on that. We're going to send the link. I think we're going to do a couple of trial runs here within the next week, and then so that we can go live on the 27th. So what I've done, I've been doing a lot of the virtual HOAs. And so what I've been telling them is once we have that, we're going to be sending out the link, and it's also going to be on YouTube.
Okay.
So we'll be sending all that information out. And what I can do is I'll send it out to all the HOAs that I've been talking to, because there's a lot of interest in that. And we're going to have special guest speakers as well. So yeah, that should be a great podcast. And for those of you that have not had a chance to meet Chief Baker, he is an awesome guy and very, very funny. You'll have an opportunity to listen and to ask questions.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. I honestly have learned a lot. I didn't realize some of these resources that y'all had. I was aware of the smoke alarm, but I didn't know you all had like a safety trailer and all of those really cool, opportunities to kind of engage. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. And you have my email address. If any other questions come up, please email me. That phone number, I think, I don't know if you wrote it down.
I did. It's 512-974-0299, correct?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. Okay. For any questions. And so just reach out to me if y'all need any information. And as soon as I get that link for the podcast, I'll be sending that out.
Sounds great. Well, have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye-bye.
All right. Awesome. Well, we have got another agenda item for you, a great conversation with schools in mind. So Emily and Jen, I'd love to invite you up I know you guys have worked out some questions that I'm going to ask you about our equitable PTA funding. So I will go ahead and get this started. Actually, if you guys want to introduce yourselves really quick. Emily, I know we've seen you, of course, you're on our schools committee. And so if you want to start, and then Jen, you could follow with a quick intro.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Emily Sawyer. I live here in Windsor Park. I just finally joined the neighborhood association this morning.
Amazing.
It's on my list of things to do, right? So I just went ahead and did it when y'all were talking about it this morning. So I have 5 sons that attend AISD schools, and I joined the schools committee a few years back. It's one of the great joys of my life to work with the folks on that committee, actually. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to have Jen here and with us, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Jackie. Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Krieger. I am not fortunate enough to be in your neighborhood, but I am just on the other side of I-35 from you in North Loop, so not too far. I am kind of a native Austinite, and I connect with our schools in that I am a former AISD employee. I used to be their sustainability manager for the school district. So I got to work with all of the school campuses and really understand how you can make environmental education and outdoor learning and kind of clean green schools a thing. And I've stayed involved in various volunteer capacities through environmental education and outdoor learning groups, as well as the work that Emily and I are doing and a couple other groups related to really making sure that all our schools are producing equally high outcomes for all students. So really trying to address some inequities that are built into our current school system.
Great. All right. And I know you all have been hard at work on many fronts, and today we'll focus on the PTA funding and some questions around that. So we'll start with our first question. We've got 3. The first one is, who is the Equitable School Funding Group?
Yes, great question. So we actually have just created a name for ourselves. We are the Austin Alliance for School Funding Equity, which is definitely a mouthful. So if you have any creative ideas for catchy acronyms, we're all ears. But right now we're a group of about 35 parents and PTA members and officers, staff from the school district, and kind of community members at large. And we're working towards more equitable funding and resource distribution across all AISD schools. We really kind of got together just recently, back in May of this year, as a way to show support for the school district's decision to no longer allow kind of the use of PTA and other forms of private funding to staff, teachers, and other positions at AISD schools. So we started off with kind of a letter writing campaign to show our support and to say we want to be involved, we want to help the school district continue its move towards more equitable funding sources and distribution of funds. And a lot of us are still going. I guess maybe one other thing I would mention is just, I know we get some questions sometimes about what really do you mean by equitable funding or equitable resource distribution? So for us, the idea of equitable funding is making sure that we're providing students with the resources, financial and non-financial resources that they need to succeed, not only in their school years, but throughout their life. And I think, one common misconception that comes up is that when we say equitable funding, we don't mean equal funding, meaning we don't mean the exact same dollar amount per student at every AISD school. And the reason for that is really just because our students' needs are not all the same across all 100+ AISD schools. And that's because there are just some underlying kind of social inequities related to race and physical and mental and learning abilities, family income, you name it. And so we're really focused right now on ensuring that the school funding that AISD has is equitably shared across AISD schools according to student need. But that said, we do recognize that AISD's current funding levels and really funding overall for all our public schools in this country is woefully inadequate. It's not sufficient to meet all of our kids' needs. So in addition to really promoting and working with the district and community partners for more equitable distribution of money based on need, we are also advocating for greater school funding across the board for all our AISD public schools.
Okay, great. Emily, not sure if you have anything to add, otherwise I can move. Okay, I'll move to the next question. So why is the issue of inequitable parent fundraising important to the members of this group? Can you share a little more about that?
Yeah, there's a few things, and Emily and I think we'll kind of tag team this section a little bit. And I know that this can be a touchy subject, but there really are just some existing inequities with the way that we fund our schools, including the ways that PTAs contribute funding to our schools. So, one thing just to kind of give you a feel for what the imbalances in PTA funding look like right here in Austin. There's a local nonprofit called the Judicial Cycling Initiative, and they're actually a bicycle organization. They provide kind of bicycle skills training and confidence building for all ages, including students in our schools. But they did an exercise just to think about where they are directing their programming and how they're funding their work in AISD schools. So one of the things that they looked at was how much money different schools' PTAs raised in a given year, which is really tricky to do. Most PTAs don't make that information publicly available unless you're really large and have significant fundraising availability. And in that case, because PTAs are 501c3 nonprofits, they do have to generate annual tax forms for the IRS. And so if your PTA is able to raise more than $50,000 in any given year, you have a more detailed tax form that you fill out that provides some insight into how much you're raising. So what Judicial did is they looked at all 80 or so of AISD's elementary schools and tried to understand how much money they were getting from their PTAs. So there are 47 elementary schools that have PTAs here in Austin that also qualify for Title I funding, which means that they have more economically disadvantaged students, and so they have greater financial needs and social needs in those schools. So all 47 of the AISD elementary schools that have PTAs and qualify for that Title I funding, they all filed tax returns that indicate they raise less than $50,000 a year. Whereas most of the higher financially resourced elementary schools, they reported receiving more than $50,000 a year. And just to make that a little bit clearer, there were 16 out of the 80 elementary schools that reported raising more than not just $50,000, but more than $100,000. And in fact, there was one school that raises more than $1 million most years. And I think another thing to point out with this is that it just shows the financial disparities also kind of follow our race and economic disparities that exist geographically in our city due to redlining and past practices, housing and land use policy practices here in Austin. So all but one of those 16 PTAs that raise more than $100,000 a year are located west of 35, and most of them are located west of MOPAC. You actually have one of the schools, the exception school, Blanton, that does raise more than $100,000 a year. I suspect some of you may help with that. But the reason that AISD changed their policy to no longer let PTAs fund staff positions at their schools this coming school year is because it exacerbates those financial gaps and therefore those learning gaps and those student achievement outcomes across our schools. And if you look at the schools that raise the most money, so if we focus in again on those 16 PTAs that raise more than $100,000 a year, those are also largely the same schools that historically have funded staff positions. In fact, just in the past school year, so we're talking during COVID, there were PTAs across AISD that donated more than $500,000 to fund staff positions at about a dozen schools. So the district has something like 125 schools and only a dozen are getting that extra infusion. And I guess just one other thing to point out is it's not just the PTAs funding staff positions, but PTAs can also, while they really help address some very real needs in our schools, they just, like I said, they exacerbate those imbalances. So if we look at another example of a lot of times PTAs fund outdoor equipment on their campuses. So I mentioned earlier that I'm involved with some outdoor learning groups. We have actually done an assessment of all the elementary schools across AISD to try to better understand kind of what resources, amenities that they have at their schools. So it's things like shade structures, I heard y'all mention earlier, it's things like benches and picnic tables and sports equipment. And, you know, just another relatively seemingly small example of how you get this big divide is that there's a Gillette Elementary, which is in Allendale here in Austin. If we just look at a seemingly small thing like outdoor benches, Gillette has 61 benches on their school campus. Whereas if we look at, again, another elementary school in your neighborhood, Andrews, has exactly one, at least a year ago when we did this assessment. So it's just not to say that this is a reflection on the commitment and engagement of the Andrews school community, but it really just, again, highlights a failure of our current system that allows parents financial resources to influence the experience of our students at our schools without thinking about how our school-specific infusions of cash can further drive disparities across all ASD schools.
Yeah,
So-
I was gonna say, it seems like a huge task at hand, and I commend you and everyone that's working on this to, you know, it seems like obviously there's not an easy solution, and it's working on, you know, figuring this out, because it seems very big, very, you know, comprehensive to wrap your head around. So yeah, and I wanted to also note, I posted in our chat just that the disparities map, the PTA funding analysis. So folks that are watching, if you'd like to take a look at that. Emily, was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
I guess I would just mention that, you know, it's easy to feel, I'm a parent at Blanton. And so it's easy to feel like we're just trying to help, right? And what's the problem with just trying to help our school? And like I said, I recognize that from my personal experience. And so I think for me, the biggest like shift in perspective has been around what the value, like the mission, vision, and values of PTA actually is. And the fact that PTAs aren't meant to be primarily fundraising organizations. And so that really helped me sort of frame this in a way that wasn't like, these are bad parents or I'm a bad parent, but just that PTA has a mission that's really focused on advocacy and providing for all students. So I really think this is an opportunity for us, if we can make the choice as PTAs to shift away from fundraising focus and to focus on the power of parent advocacy, because parents are really powerful. You know, board of trustee members, local city officials, county officials, state officials listen to parents. They really do listen to parents. And if we can get a really powerful parent advocacy group going that says we value public education funding, we value resources that are adequate and equitably distributed, we could really, I think, and this is why I get excited about this work, we could really change public education for the better for everyone, rather than just tinkering on our campus, providing for the students who happen to attend our kid's school at that same time that our kid is there. We could make an impact that really changes the system. And that's so exciting to me. And I really hope if folks, you know, have questions or, you know, even if they have, you know, hard feelings, that they'll reach out to us so we can talk about it, because that's really what it takes, is just to talk about it. And then one last thing I wanted to mention, if you listened to the AISD board information session that happened on Thursday evening, I feel like Superintendent Dr. Elizalde really did an excellent job of explaining one of the main reasons why she made the decision she made about not allowing PTA funds to pay for positions. And that is that in order for the district, AISD as a whole, to be able to receive Title I funding from the federal government, they have to be able to show that there's a differential in the resources allocated to schools that qualify for Title I funding and schools that don't qualify for Title I funding. So if parent and other private donations are closing that differential gap, we could actually lose our access to Title I federal funds as a district overall. So that's actually a really serious issue that she as a superintendent has to deal with. And I just think, like, I didn't understand that until a few months ago. And I'm happy to, like, again, talk to anyone who like just doesn't understand what that means or isn't sure how it applies to them. Because it is really complicated and we all just want to help. And again, I recognize that feeling from a personal perspective. So super happy to be here and talk about this and just share my experience.
Well, that's really helpful. I appreciate you sharing that perspective, because I think that there's likely many folks out there that feel very similar. Like, we just want to do the right thing. We just want to help. So, you know, and kind of walking through some of those intricate challenges really, really helps paint the picture. And like you said, kind of zoom out a little bit to figure this out. So thank you both for that. So shall we move on to our last question? All right. So what are ways that people can get involved? So you've talked about some great things here. You know, how do we get people engaged, and what are those resources?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think Emily hit the nail on the head. We're really looking for folks who are interested in kind of shifting our show of support for all of our students across AISD, from, you know, fundraising for specific schools and for specific classes, but really collectively, you know, aggregating our power to advocate for real policy change that will create more adequate funding across our public schools and make sure that it is directed to those students who most need it and who can most benefit in improving their academic and life outcomes. So there's a few different ways that we're organizing our work, and we would definitely encourage you to join us. I will, in my minute, drop my email in the chat, and I know you already know Emily, and she already put out the call to reach out to her, but you can reach out to me if you want to learn more. But the three things we're working on are advocacy, really culture change, and then doing supplementing some research that's already out there. So kind of digging into those three things a little bit more around the advocacy piece. We're very interested in working with AISD, with the Austin Council of PTAs, which is the umbrella organization for the school level PTAs. And then also working with various kind of education advocacy groups across the state so that we can, you know, magnify our collective voice to develop a strategy for increased school funding for AISD and all public schools across the state, and even, you know, potentially at the federal level. And we're also encouraging folks and giving them the tools and the know-how to be able to advocate to the AISD school board as well as our city council as appropriate. The second thing I mentioned was the culture change. So really shifting culture within PTAs and school communities through education and training and community building. So to give you a taste for kind of what that looks like, one of our members is organizing a coalition of PTAs from schools that qualify for Title I funding to really dig in and understand their needs and identify ways to build community and resources within those schools. And then we're also interested in working with the Austin Council PTAs to offer training and resources to PTAs across the district so that we can help increase awareness and action around ways to use and share the resources more equitably to support our Austin school community. And then the last piece is the research that I mentioned. So really bringing awareness to some of the existing school funding inequities that are out there by supporting existing work that's being done and potentially helping to fill some of the gaps. So there's a really solid report that the Texas Civil Rights Project sent to AISD in 2012 that highlighted some of the district's inequitable funding practices and made several recommendations. So actually later this week, we're going to be meeting with AISD personnel to understand kind of if and hopefully how a lot of those recommendations have been implemented in ways that we can bring awareness back to those issues and those solutions. And then we're also connecting with others across the country who are a little bit ahead of us in terms of shifting their school funding systems to more equitable models. So there's some groups in Portland, in Illinois, in Seattle that really have a great model for us. And we're hoping we can learn from each other and lift each other up nationally as well.
That's great. Thank you so much. And Emily, I wanted to touch base. Is there anything that you'd like to add? I saw something about maybe a last something in the chat we wanted to share.
Sorry, I'm making notes for myself in our document,
Okay.
so that's my bad. I do want to bring attention though to what I believe Gloria posted in the chat on Facebook. Just that, this is an ongoing conversation that really has, it existed before Jen and I. The work that the group is doing is ongoing. There have been community members across Austin, for many years working on this. And so, it's not a one-off, and we're really excited to take a deep look at how we can improve our public education system, because it's an investment for all of us, whether you have kids, in public schools or not. It is an investment for all of us, and it really will make Austin and Texas stronger if we have these excellent, adequately, equitably funded school systems. So thanks for this opportunity, Jackie. So appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thank you both for your hard work. And obviously, as you mentioned, all of the folks that have been working on this, you've definitely filled in some gaps for me and understanding, and I'm sure there's so much more on top of that. And I really appreciate both your openness and, just the empathy that you share too. And, just having the conversation. I think that's insanely helpful for, something that's as difficult and, challenging as this. So thank you both for that. And we look forward to hearing more, and wish you the best, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you both. Okay. So we're a little bit behind, but that's okay. I think that was a really great conversation. We have our next agenda item. We have Rodney Ahart with us to give us an update on our Windsor Village Shopping Center redevelopment. So Rodney will pull up, and I know you've got a presentation. Perfect. So Rodney, thanks for being with us. And what's going on? Can you give us some updates?
Yes, thank you, Jackie. Good morning, almost afternoon to everyone. I am here to give an update on that 12.36 acre site sandwiched in between Berkman, Briarcliff, Westminster, and Northridge. This update will be kind of put into a couple of buckets. One will be on our parkland dedication. I work with the Parks Department. The second will be our work with Development Services Department, of course, who's coordinating the permits, all of those pieces. The next will be work with the developer. And then last, just to kind of talk through what some of our next steps are. So first and foremost, the parkland dedication piece for Windsor Village. When we actually held a survey in the neighborhood, this was the #1 priority for the community, which is to have access to great green space. And so at this time, the working group, the contact team is advocating for there to be at least a 1.85 acre park on this site, which would be 15% of the total gross site area. We are pushing for actual park space. Now, developers can often provide actual park space and pay a fee in lieu of if they're not providing actual park space. We are advocating for a 1.85 acre park space. The current proposal from the developer is for a 1.25 acre park. And so, just picture in your mind what that 0.6 acre is, and it's the equivalent of 3 medium-sized residential lots in Austin. So just think about how much great congregation and memories you've been able to create in your own backyard space. I mean, that could be a huge asset to this development as well as to our community. Next, just want to thank the neighborhood and everyone who has participated in action alerts. We've had those go out. People have sent those. We also know that you have received responses back from either the Parks Board and council members. Thanks for that. That's so important. And as we continue to work through this park process, we will probably have a couple more action alerts coming. Just this here is just kind of an outline of what currently is slated for the park. Of course, all this along here is that 1.25 acres. There's an open area for kind of open play. There also is a slated dog park. And just to orient you to this space, Berkman Drive is on the left, Northridge is along the bottom, and Westminster is along the, like right adjacent to the park space. Okay, so the next piece, I feel like this can be like as the development turns, we've been working for the last several months with city staff on this permit process. The case manager actually is currently transitioning out of her role. The hope is that, she'll be able to at least make one last round review on this U3 report. The other development officer that was actually looking over this case has also transitioned. So this probably means that our case will be assigned to a new case manager. And so we'll be looking at the opportunity to work with that new person and develop a relationship with them as well. Of course, this development has multiple permits that are kind of working concurrently to have this project take place. There's a site development permit. Of course, there was an original subdivision permit, which has been vacated, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a slide coming up. There's been a expedited review plan filed just for the building. And then of course, at this time, there has not been any demolition permits filed. So Transwestern Development Company, of course, is the new owner of the property. Drenner Group is the developer's agent. And of course, since our last meeting, the last time we met and talked about this, Drenner actually sent a response in regards to all of the action alerts that people were sending. So just another indication of how important action alerts and the neighborhood getting involved. They did send us a response. They also provided a new site permit sheet, which is also in another slide that I'll share. The working group actually responded to that. There also has been a new subdivision application filed, which I just mentioned, the original one dividing the lot into 4 separate lots has been vacated, and there is a new plan for how the lots will be divided. However, the plan in regards to commercial development, what they're putting on the site has pretty much stayed the same. We recently, just this week, were able to obtain the new site development permit plan sheets, the phasing plan, and the subdivision plan. So the team has been spending time kind of reviewing those. And of course, we've, Connor and Civilitude has agreed to assist pro bono, actually. And they are actually taking a deeper dive on that as well, with kind of next steps in regards to that. So here is the new kind of site development permit plan sheet that they shared with us. As you can see, the lot is fairly kind of divided up as it has been. The difference is that now, instead of the lot being divided into 4 separate lots, it's actually being divided into 2 subdivisions with 2 lots. Yeah, I mean, which one of these is not like the other? But anyway, so basically there are 2 lots that are adjacent to Berkman, which have been kind of marked on their new documents as Windsor Village Lot 1, Windsor Village Berkman Lot 2, and Windsor Village Berkman Lot 1. Lot 1, of course, we're all familiar. This is where Hank's restaurant is and where the Bell's property is. And then, of course, the other 2 lots will be designated as Windsor Village Westminster. And the Lot 1, of course, is the one that has the 2 apartment buildings and the 1.25 acre park. And the Lot 2 that is for Westminster, the developer is currently working on the plans for that site. So this was the site permit sheet that was shared with us prior to this U3 report filed. However, we have it seems that this is the plan that the developer will continue to move forward with. As I mentioned earlier, the lavender color here is Hank's, and that's 8,437 square feet of a restaurant space. There's 15,000 square feet of retail, which that is the former Bell's site. Of course, there's live work units with about 5,300. square feet of commercial. Then there's 1179 of a restaurant, and then another 1523 square feet of retail. And this is, and to orientate again, this is the right side is Berkman, the bottom is Northridge, and the right side is Westminster. Did I say left side is Berkman, bottom is Northridge, and the right side is Westminster? So, so that is, it appears that they have changed the way that they're dividing the lots, but they are still moving forward with this same basic plan in regards to space. And so there's still the $388,000 square feet of multifamily housing, the small leasing office. There also is some square footage for, of course, the amenities for the apartments. There's the 2,702 square feet of that ground floor commercial with adjoining patios. That's those two lots that are on the Westminster side. The square feet in the live work. And then, of course, there is an above ground parking garage that is slated, and the 2.5 acre park. And then they're putting in 10 rain gardens. For the heights, because I know this is one that we've had a lot of questions about, out of the two apartment buildings, for building A, it's 5 stories. Building B, it's 3 stories. The live work units are 3 stories. And then, of course, there's a 5-story above ground parking garage that's slated. So you all probably know why the community has really voiced opposition to the current plan, and it's because of the drastic loss of commercial. I mean, there was there was 105,000 square feet of commercial space available on the site. Currently, as the current plan that they have slated, there's a little over 30,000 square feet. So we're looking at about a 70% decrease in available commercial space. In some ways, it seems that our shopping center is being transitioned into an apartment complex. There are terrible barriers that are created in how they have these buildings situated. We all know that Berkman, Gaston Place, Westminster, they all converge at this site. So there's definitely a strong need for there to be some, a critical eye and a lot of work done in regards to keeping the area safe for people who are walking, people who are biking, people who, all abilities. And then, of course, the last piece is just the total lack of adherence to the neighborhood plan. The neighborhood's vision was for this to be a neighborhood urban center with a great mix of commercial, open space, walkable, and we're just not quite there yet in this plan that Transwestern is moving forward with. So what are some of our next steps? Right off the bat, just continue to work with PARD, getting confirmation from this U3 report that we just received. Is PARD moving forward with this 1.25 acre park versus the 1.85? There is a upcoming Parks Board meeting that we will potentially be a part of, just to voice some of our concerns with that. I wanted to also say that at our last contact team meeting, we heard a presentation from Roy Mullen. He's the executive director of the Stage Austin. He has worked a business plan, has a model to actually move into and transform the Bell space into a black box theater, a community space. He just has a really great vision for the property and has already reached out to the developer to kind of have those initial conversations about his ability to move into that space. The next piece, I mean, and I know staying positive, keep fighting the good fight. Transwestern is currently working on that lot too in the Westminster, in the Windsor Village Westminster side. So us being able to advocate for commercial at that location, for additional green space at that location. As I mentioned, there are definitely transportation kind of concerns, making sure that we have good connections, safe pedestrian crossings, all of those pieces. And then, of course, our last Hail Mary would be to file with an appeal with the Board of Adjustments, just on the way that the city has interpreted the code, particularly the vertical mixed use code, requiring commercial on the bottom floor, residential, or a different use on the floors above. just having a closer eye, an eagle eye look at how this has been interpreted, and filing an appeal with the Board of Adjustments. So with that, that is it. In a nutshell, kind of what the current kind of update on Windsor Village. If you have any questions, want to be more involved, engaged, please reach out to me. My email is on the screen. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks,
Rodney. Whew, lots of info there, and we definitely appreciate the overall comprehensive view. It was good to kind of walk through that and some of the updates. I did want to address a quick question that Josh had submitted. He was wondering, you know, what is the significance of updating, you know, this resubmission of updating the subdivisions, the sizes, the shapes, what's included. I will say that's something we're digging into. We're not entirely sure. It seems a bit odd that, you know, obviously nothing with the plans itself changed, but the technical, you know, background stuff of like how things were submitted has changed. So we're digging into that. Just wanted to let everyone know. Let me see if there's any other questions we have here.
I think that's true, Jackie. And two, just to kind of add on to that, you know, we received that U3 report, and it's basically an unofficial official report, because the city review team, you know, is currently undergoing like their review of this new report. And then once they kind of have their comments, they'll post it on the city's development services site. So that's when we'll actually know and have like the full, you know, report, as well as kind of the city's responses on it.
Awesome. Okay. We do have one other question from Brenda asking if any of the units are going to be affordable housing. My understanding is yes. I believe, Rodney, is that 10% that is requested? Okay.
That is correct. 10% of the residential units will be allocated to 60% MFI.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Well, I guess with that, we'll just thank you for all of your time, and we'll stay tuned, and we'll keep you know, diligent on this and see what next steps are.
Thank you.
All right. So our next item on our agenda, we have our Living Streets follow-up. So if you were joining us in for our last month's meeting, you probably saw the presentation by Adam Greenfield. And Adam shared, you know, some information on, you know, this option. You know, we have our healthy streets that that we had over on Belfast, and Adam shared that Living Streets, some of the differences. We've got their website up if you're interested in following up on that information. But what Adam was asking of us is for our advocacy to consider potentially supporting this. And I did receive a motion from some of the folks on our transportation committee to motion in support of this. So I wanted to share. And actually, let me see if I can share the link. We have a Google form for a vote, but I'll share a little bit about this proposal for supporting the Living Streets program. So the group wrote, we would like the Windsor Park Neighborhood Association as an organization to sign the petition in official support of the Austin Living Streets program because it aligns with our goals of strengthening neighbor connections, increasing the safety and walkability of our streets, empowering neighborhoods to take community-led initiative, and providing options for outdoor shared public space. Unlike the healthy street we had on Belfast, Austin Living Streets is not a city-led initiative. Instead, it makes changes and additions to 4 types of permits that open the doors for communities themselves to take the lead. Those areas include placemaking, traffic calming permits, permits to create temporary play streets for children, resident-led healthy streets, and easier permitting for block parties. So in this motion, we encourage you to watch the leader of Austin Streets Initiative, Adam Greenfield, as he discusses the program in more depth at last month's meeting, and we'll have a link to that. So if you're a WPNA member, the ask is to vote to weigh in on whether we should officially support the Living Streets Initiative. And then we'll post that. We do need a motion on the floor if someone is willing to motion to vote on this. Looks like Martin, we may have a motion.
Yes, you have a motion. May I motion that we have a vote on this?
Perfect. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Awesome. Thank you, Rodney, for that. So now we ask you in our strange digital world today, instead of raising your hand, we're going to ask you to vote digitally. We will share a link to this vote. The question, or the literal vote ask, is Windsor Park Neighborhood Association should officially support the citizen-led Living Streets initiative. The WPNA will do so by first signing the Living Streets petition as a supporting organization, and you can vote on I agree or do not agree. And in that voting form, the Google Doc will include some reference information, obviously that language I read to you, and links to both the Living Street program and also the Living Streets petition, so that you can also sign it as an individual if you're interested in doing so. And then just as a reminder for voting, you do need to be, in order to be eligible to vote, you need to be a current member. And so we will be verifying, we ask for some questions like your email and full name, just so that we can verify all of that and make sure we're following our guidelines. So that is it. We will post that link on this Facebook chat. We will follow up with our listserv and email our members as well with this information so that you can make a vote. The vote will close. It will run through Monday and will close Monday night at midnight. So it gives you a little bit of time to get in there and submit your vote, but don't delay. Get it out of the way if you can. And yeah, so we'll take it from there. Thank you so much for considering it. And thank you to the Transportation Committee members for bringing that to our group. So without further ado, we have our next item is our committee reports. And Martin, I know you are here, so we can go ahead and start with you for our climate report.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. And the Climate Committee is currently organizing our next climate conversation. And that is supposed to be in the middle of September, but I have been waiting for Congressman Lloyd Doggett's office to get back to me on whether the congressman can attend that particular conversation. The idea here being that we need to talk about how it is we deal with climate on a congressional level, what can happen there. Congressman Doggett's office is the only office that's actually talking to us about this. Our own congressman representing our district, Roger Williams, has no intention of ever talking to us about anything regarding climate over many meetings that we've had with his assistants here in Austin. So hopefully we can have an actual real conversation in the middle of September about how we move forward in dealing with our climate issues, which are basically on the front page in the newspaper 2 or 3 times a week now. I mean, every condition that we've been warned about, it, they're all happening, and at kind of record speed. So the need for dealing with climate is greater than ever. And as I listen to the locusts behind us singing in the trees, it reminds me that we're all connected in this thing. The Parks Department is doing their parks thing. Thank you, Rodney, for your efforts on getting some park space for this new construction that's coming. None of this works without climate working. So, we're all in this boat together as far as this particular committee goes. And also on a personal note, I want to say that my daughter is in her 3rd year of being the art teacher at Andrews Elementary. And I just got off the phone with her, and she has informed me that they've done a great deal of work there, writing grants and getting outdoor seating provided in the last year. So I'm thinking maybe next month we have an update from Andrews Elementary so that we can hear what they're actually doing, because there's been a lot of effort to turn that school around. When she was hired there, it was a sinking ship, and ultimately the captain had to be fired, and so they've reinvented that school to a certain degree in a short order in really bad conditions when it comes to our pandemic affecting how it is you perform in schools. I would like to say that we're all in this together in every way, shape, and form, from our schools to our neighborhoods to our parks, and any effort that y'all can give in dealing with climate change. The number one thing is your own personal carbon footprint. And I'll ask you again, as the jets fly by, that whatever you can do, please do it. Get a gasoline power, get rid of your gasoline powered engines, just in general, all of them. I know the big ones are cars, and I would recommend getting a hybrid if at all possible. And if you have a second car you're going to buy, make it an electric car. We really have to tackle this right now. The IPCC report that came out in the last couple of weeks is exactly what we've been talking about in our committee for a couple of years now. Everything that we're saying is absolutely occurring. There's 14,000 scientific reports that have been gathered to make that particular recommendation, that we take drastic, radical, immediate changes in our lifestyles and what we're doing and how we do it. And I implore all of you to please reach out to your congressman. We're doing really well on the local level. Travis County and City of Austin are phenomenal at what they're doing. AISD, ACC, everybody on a local level is really responding to this threat. And so we got to make this a national thing. So whatever you can do to reach out, please do, because our organization, our committee, is reaching out to other neighborhood associations and trying to get things done. But it takes a big old village to do this thing. And I'm hopeful that y'all will all start to participate in every way possible. So that's it for my committee report.
Thanks, Martin. Can you share, just reshare your email or the best way to contact you for folks that are interested in either joining the climate committee or kind of getting involved?
Certainly. Yes, we have Windsor Park Climate Committee at gmail.com.
Okay.
As number one. Also, I forgot to tell you, we set up our own climate committee YouTube channel so that we can now broadcast our climate conversation on a channel that you can actually watch live. That'll work. Hopefully, we decided that the Facebook thing was not reaching enough people. And also sometimes it doesn't work. So we built this channel just recently. We're putting all of our climate conversations up on that channel right now. As a matter of fact, they're available. If you want to watch previous episodes, we've got some good ones. And so Windsor Park Climate Committee at gmail.com.
Awesome. If you can type those in the chat, we'll post those links on Facebook and spread it around. So
brilliant.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. And I've got one update from our transportation committee as well. Just to give a highlight, Hector had shared some links to the ATX walk bike roll. So that is an initiative that the city of Austin has going on right now to look at our urban trails and what we're doing, how we're connecting. So it's a great initiative to get involved in. And I want to share, so the link to that, let's see here. It's www.austintexas.gov/department/ATX walk bike roll. And right now they're in the beginning phases of their process, and they're asking for folks to take a survey to tell them what influences your decision to walk, bike, roll, and how they can make sidewalks, urban trails, and bikeways better. So they have the survey available. We'll send you all that link. This is the first step. The second step or following steps will be included. Will include more detailed information on if you've got something like a space in your neighborhood or a certain area that you think needs to be, have sidewalks added or needs to be looked at. That will be following steps to dig a little bit more into details. So check that out. And then a part of this process will be to update the urban trails map. And so there's a link on their website that shares a little bit more information about that. So through ATX Walk Bike Roll, we're updating our 2014 Urban Trails Plan. The plan update will re-examine the proposed urban trail network, develop a new project selection process, and improve policies with the goal of building more miles of trail in less time. And so, kind of seeing how everything connects to one another, that's the overall idea here, is seeing, okay, we've got this piece and this piece, where do we bridge those and how do we prioritize? So definitely encourage you to pay attention to that, get involved. Take the survey and share your feedback on that. And hopefully from there, we can be a part of improving our connections and our walkability, and to the climate change, group as well, finding alternate modes of transportation. So a lot of good things there. With that, I think, is there any other committee reports? I don't see anyone else on that might have anything to update. Awesome. So with that, I want to thank all of our guest speakers for joining us today, all of the hard work. I know pulling together this information for y'all is our pleasure, but it also does take time. So I thank our volunteers for doing that. And also thank you for joining us on your Saturday morning and sticking with it. We had quite a variety of things for you today. And as always, please reach out if you have suggestions for things that you want to see, or folks that you want to join us, or resources that you're interested in. So please reach out. Aside from that, have a great rest of your weekend, and thank you, Windsor Park, for joining us.